What's up, Laker Nation, and welcome into episode 23 of the LakeShow Flow. I'm Gio with my co-host Joe.
What's up, y'all?
So it's a big day for LA. It's Dre Day, pretty much. The Lakers finally get the guy that we've been talking about for about a month now.
Yeah.
We finally signed Andre Drummond after he got bought out by the Cavs. The day after the Nets ended up signing LaMarcus Aldridge. But to focus on the Lakers, the impact that Drummond instantly brings, for me, I think for him, it's a good opportunity for him to showcase himself while AD and LeBron are out.
Yeah.
And you just told me before we started recording, 17 and 13. And
yeah, around there, yeah.
Yeah, so
4 offensive rebounds also, those 13 rebounds.
Yeah, so it's a guy that can clean the glass. I think he led the league in rebounding like 4 different years of his career.
Yeah.
And he's only 27. So a lot of people kind of judge him based on being in Detroit and then being in Cleveland. He's never been on a competitive team. Like, I think people need to realize his job's going to be so much easier being on the Lakers with LeBron and AD. It's going to just really make life easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, though, I feel like what people don't understand, too, though, like, I feel like with him playing with Detroit and the Cavs, there was never any hope for him to do anything there. Like, he knew he could play his hardest and they were never going to go, like, anywhere. And he was still, like, a top center. So imagine him being on a team where he knows there's potential to go somewhere and potential to win a ring. I feel like it's going to even elevate his play even more because he's not like LaMarcus and Blake Griffin where they're kind of at the tail end of their career where it's like going to the Nets has kind of rejuvenated them and made them, you know, a little bit better and get them like some hope like, okay, we could contribute. Andre, like even on a bad team, he was still contributing and he was still playing at a high level. So, I mean, playing with the Lakers, I feel like we could potentially see a newer version of him, you know, something just so more motivation. It could be like a really, really good thing for us.
Yeah, we can see. I mean, you saw what happened with Dwight Howard coming back to the Lakers, and he was like a guy like Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, who, you know, they get that little boost in confidence. But like we said with Drummond, I don't feel like he's coming to the Lakers with lost his step, any major injuries to be concerned about.
Yeah,
he's coming in a 27-year-old, like we said.
He should be in his prime, honestly, right now.
Yeah, and like we said, there's something different about. You saw Blake Griffin, he did drop 17 off the bench and he caught a lob. So obviously he wasn't trying his hardest in Detroit. You know, we know they're motivated over there. This was kind of a really necessary signing too in response to what the Nets are doing, because I mean, a lot of people were losing their minds on Saturday. And I mean, now you were kind of giving me perspective on it. You can let these people know, like, how do you feel, you know, when you put perspective on those two signings, Aldridge and Blake? How do you feel about the Nets?
Yeah, well, I mean, initially, of course, you get a little bit, you know, taken back and kind of like, what the heck's going on? You know, because Blake Griffin and, you know, Aldridge, if you follow basketball and you're around our age, we remember those guys when they were good. So when you hear those names being signed, you get kind of like, what the heck's going on? But you got to understand, too, these guys are at the end of their careers. They're no longer star players. They're role players. They're really, really good role players. They could potentially make an all-star team if they play good enough, but Blake Griffin's not Blake Griffin no more, and Aldridge is not Aldridge no more. Aldridge is playing like really, really bad this year. If you look at his numbers, he was almost going to get benched with how bad he was playing. Blake Griffin hadn't dunked basically for almost a year. You know, both his knees are made of glass. This guy's always hurt. So it's just like, I feel like when you put it into perspective, they're just names right now. You know, and yes, they're going to have their good games. I'm not saying that they're not going to be good, but it's not like we're going against 5 all-star, like, prime players. Yeah. They're still the Nets with 3, like, Hall of Fame players, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But we have LeBron, who potentially is the best player to ever play. I think AD is probably, at least when he's healthy, I think he's probably a top 3 player in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe behind, you know, KD, or maybe behind,
at very minimum,
Giannis,
he's top 5.
You know, he's up there, you know. So, and then Andre, I feel like, he's a respectable center, you know. And if you look at all our role players, I think if you start looking at the matchups, if we break them down, we were talking about it in the car, we match up like really good still. I feel like, you know, we're talking about it pretty much. AD will guard KD, which I feel like could be a good matchup.
Yeah.
You'll have Andre on Aldridge if he starts, which I feel like Andre could handle.
Yeah, I think they sold him on the starting center role, and he's not even a natural center too. That's what you were saying.
He was a power forward before. That's his natural position, but he pretty much got old and slow. So that's what they moved him to a center.
Yeah.
So
athletically, I expect Drummond to be able to be faster out on the breaks, stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's not even tall. I think he's 6'11", maybe 6'10". He, like I said, he was a power forward before, and he's never even been like one of those like rough power forwards. He was a finesse guy. He was that guy that could shoot, do the mid range stuff like that. But I don't expect that against us, at least. I feel like Drummond has enough size to bother it, so I'm not worried about that matchup. Where it gets a little bit choppy is where you have maybe KCP having to guard Harden, which that could be deadly. But I mean, it is what it is. And then Kyrie, you're gonna have Schroeder. So and LeBron's gonna go against Joe Harris, depending how they start. Or,
either Harris or Blake.
Yeah, if they start Blake Griffin, LeBron will guard him. But I feel like LeBron, the good thing about having LeBron, this is where me and you differ about the defensive player he is now. I feel like we could agree on this. He's going to be good for about 3 or 4 plays on defense. Like, he's able to go and be like, all right, let me check him on this play, and I can stop this guy. So hopefully, because it's going to be us and the Nets in the finals. I mean, if everything goes right and everyone's healthy,
Yeah. I mean, like with LeBron, too, at the same time, too, if he comes back healthy, by the time the playoffs roll around, he was motivated last year, too. I remember the last time we played the Clippers, we didn't get to see them in the playoffs, but there were 2 possessions where, like you said, in spurts, when he needs to, he'll go and guard the best players on the court,
Yeah.
So if we don't, if he has to save energy and not guard those guys the whole game, then I mean, so be it. But when it comes down to like a close game, he will switch on him and he can make his plays like that. So
yeah, I even have faith for our bench though. I feel like when Kuz comes in, I feel like Kuz could potentially hold his own against Blake Griffin. Maybe even Aldridge and Montrez too. I feel like Montrez could come in and hold his own against Blake.
Well, here's the
Aldridge
thing.
Too.
We're gonna have Gasol probably off the bench now.
And Gasol too.
So the thing with Gasol, he can guard down low if Aldridge is still in, right? So I think with Kuz, the key for him, he needs to come in and he might have to guard a Harden or a Durant sometimes.
He's gonna have to guard Harden or
don't
KD.
get me wrong. By no means am I saying Kuz is like a stopper for them.
No.
He stepped up his defense crazy this year. But I think he can put enough of a body to bother them on some possessions.
Yeah.
So they're gonna score. They're gonna eat even when Kuz is on there. But I'm just saying we have a lot of depth to throw at these guys, and I'm not too worried about it. I think honestly, the Drummond signing is more significant. When you really put it in perspective, because we actually really needed Andre Drummond for like a lot of things. And
if Drummond didn't sign with us, then this would be a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Because
and
Drummond, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, a lot of people, like I said, even some Laker fans, they're kind of sleeping on the signing. Maybe they wanted us to make other moves and stuff like that. But here's some games from Andre Drummond. Shout out to Golden Knight on Twitter. He dropped this info. Drummond has had a 33 and 23 rebound game, 26 and 24, 25 and 22, 25-17. And then the next 3 are pretty much similar to 25 and 17. So he's capable of, he's going to be a rebound hog. AD gets his rebounds. It's going to be nasty in the paint. And then another fact about Drummond, if you guys need any more convincing, he's had 44 20-point, 20 rebound games since 2012-2013 season, and the next closest player only has had 15.
Yeah.
This guy's a hog, inside. He's going to get all the boards. That's what we need him to do. And right now, without LeBron and AD, he has a chance to get comfortable in the system, both defensively, offensively. So I think it's a big day.
I just hope, because a lot of teams are playing like almost like a 5-out. They have their center on the 3-point line. I'm hoping we're still able to utilize his rebounding because, but then again, if you think about it too, we could always switch AD and Drummond. Whoever's down low, Drummond go down low, and whoever's out top, AD goes out top to guard them. So, it really doesn't matter now that I think about it, but I'm just hoping that we only got a few teams we got to worry about with top centers that we're going to run into. It's going to be Denver with Jokic, and it's going to be the Jazz with Gobert. Those are the only 2 centers we got to worry about. So
yeah, and if you think about it, at least with the Gobert one, we don't really got to worry about him on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Jokic could stretch the floor, but
I feel like AD should just guard up on Jokic in that series.
Yeah, keep the pressure off AD from banging down low too much.
Yeah.
He's going to have to sometimes, but if we keep Drummond down low with the more of a post player like Millsap, he stretches it sometimes.
Yeah.
But I feel confident with having, like you said, with AD more on the perimeter, and it allows a lot more flexibility because there's going to be some series where last year AD had to step into the 5. We might still do that, but I think Drummond has way more speed on him than even Howard and McGee did last year.
Yeah,
So
I doubt we'll have to do that unless there's some type of foul trouble type situation. But I mean, ultimately, like we're talking about, this is a good signing for LA. It's gonna make it a whole lot easier. Now it's just about keeping people healthy and just making sure that people just know their roles, you know? Because I mean, obviously, with Marc Gasol going to the bench, I don't know how it's gonna affect the second unit because, I mean, you can't run Montrez as a power forward. I feel like he doesn't have enough of a stretch shot. Maybe Mark runs. I don't know how you even work that because you got Kuzma out there too, who's potentially a small forward, power forward.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how we would work it together.
the thing that's kind of exciting about Mark going to the second unit is I think I said this before when it was potential of getting Drummond.
Yeah.
Is Gasol? He's a playmaking center. He has a lot of passing skills. So we got THT who can create, for others and for himself. We got Kuz has gotten better at passing. We got Caruso who he doesn't really attack anymore. He's usually facilitating. Mark's gonna help that unit too though with buckets.
Yeah.
A lot of cuts from Kuz, cuts from THT.
He might even score too now because in the first unit I felt like it wasn't his role and I think he knew it. So maybe with his second unit, because he's capable. He's a capable scorer. He could get some baby hooks still.
Yeah.
Maybe get some layups. Maybe him scoring will be a thing now, and he could always stretch the floor. So I mean, the second unit's going to be interesting. It's interesting to see who's going to be the odd man out now because obviously you're
adding Gasol to the second unit. So.
Yeah, Gasol to the second unit. So you have Morris and Wesley who were the guys that were fighting for minutes. I hope that Vogel just sees that we don't need Wesley at this point, and we just sit him and we stop playing him. Morris, I think, has slowly earned our respect back and is slowly showing that he's capable of shooting and doing some things again. So hopefully, we keep that going. But I think at this point, there's got to be someone that gets minutes taken away, and I think it should be Wesley.
Yeah, if you're going to take minutes away, I mean, you got to, especially right now, without our main stars, THT's been maximizing his minutes for the most part, and I think you got to keep letting him grow before, if you cut his minutes now and then you try to throw him out to the Wolves in the playoffs, he doesn't have that, on-court experience and comfort. So
if they cut his minutes now, I'll be so mad because, like I said, we talked about it the last video. He was that missing piece for the Lowry trade, so it's like it would make no sense if all of a sudden we just cut his minutes and do the whole we'll throw him in for garbage time because it's like you should have just got Lowry at that point.
Yeah, if you're gonna keep him, then you got to maximize. You got to let him grow and prove why he was worth not getting rid of too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people too, they're gonna start seeing that. There's a lot of people on Twitter that hopped on that whole thing where it's like, why'd you not give up THT?
Yeah.
So everyone's gonna go crazy if we don't see more of THT, especially us because we believe in him. So that's a big thing. But like we said, overall, the way we feel about it, the Lakers got, I think, a lot better.
Yeah.
We've been begging for inside presence, and like a lot of people say, Drummond's not necessarily a defensive stopper, but
he's better than Gasol.
Yeah.
It's definitely an upgrade. If you don't see that, then you just don't know basketball. It's definitely an upgrade. But
like we said, you'll be surprised how motivated and how much more plays he's gonna make on defense when he's not playing for Cleveland.
Even Dwight, like you said earlier, Dwight got blocks. He defensively got way better. So I mean, I think it's gonna be better for him. I think too. I mean, this might be a hot take right here, but I wouldn't even count Boston out of the East.
I wouldn't count.
Go
for it.
I think Boston, they've been that team that's been there and they've just been young, but Jaylen Brown could defend. Jason Tatum could defend. They got Fournier now, who offensively could be good. I feel like.
They even got that young center, Robert Williams.
They got Walker over there and stuff like that. I just feel like you gotta watch them. I feel like they could give the Nets some trouble. Yeah,
and we can't forget about Giannis and the Bucks. Yeah. We can't forget about the Sixers. There's a lot of competition out there.
Even in the West though, I still think you gotta give some respect to the Nuggets. And I think the Jazz, they're another team that's just been together for a long time, and I think.
Yeah, you've seen Spider Mitchell. He's been taking a step forward and becoming even more of a star. So we're not sleeping on the West, but at the same time, I think the East, everyone's kind of just shooing in the Nets.
The Nets are just there, which
and we saw what happened to the Clippers last year. Everyone picked them over the Lakers. So
and you never know. The Nets, it's easy to be good in regular season when you're facing teams that aren't that great every other night. But when you're in the playoffs and it's grind mode and you're going against teams that are all good,
yeah,
I feel like, I don't know. I haven't seen all three of them play together. You never know. Harden's bad tendencies might come back where he wants to have the ball in ISO the entire time, and if he doesn't get the ball, he might just like, I'm not going to even try to play defense. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. Kyrie could just, I don't know, just go off too, or he's just trying to do his thing. And
there's concerns with health too when it comes to Kyrie and KD.
That too. Blake Griffin too. His knees could both just break. Like,
Aldridge's tail end of his career. There's a lot of question marks. They have a decent amount of depth, but we're just giving you perspective because, like we said, we're not going to sleep on the West. We know what we're dealing with out there. It's not going to be a cakewalk for the Lakers either, but the Nets got to watch out. Some of these teams are going to be coming out there next. I think I told you this. I've never really seen James Harden take over a playoff series. So we still
came up short so many times already.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even sleeping on. I brought up the Clippers last year. I'm not sleeping on them this year either, though. They picked up Rondo. They got Ibaka now. They still got Zubats who can create some trouble down low. So I mean, the Clippers are I think it's kind of both sides got stuff to worry about.
Yeah.
But we really needed this Drummond thing to work out. Apparently, the Lakers are still trying to sign another 3-and-D wing with the last roster spot.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens there. But we just want to give you guys, what we think on this Drummond thing. It's a little later than we wanted to. Sometimes scheduling gets in the way.
Yeah.
But, as we speak, though, the Lakers are playing the Magic. So we're going to talk about that game.
Next video.
Yeah, and the next game.
Yeah.
All in the next video. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. We've been seeing a spike, or we saw a spike in the last video. A lot of you guys are hyped about Drummond. So, now that he's officially on the Lakers, let's get you guys, let's get some more subscriptions, get some more hype. It's Dre Day, like we said. And, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Be safe, Laker Nation.